All right, let's talk about manifestation a little bit. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about earthing as well, if I can weave that into the conversation. So if you are joining me now, put in the chat what the last thing that you have recognition of manifesting was. What was the last thing that you can recognize that you manifested? I feel that it's getting very strong, the recognition. So that means the time between thought or emotion and physical manifestation is getting closer and closer and closer to instantaneously. And so I know that some of you out there have been thinking of something, and then immediately as you're thinking it, it's materializing into existence. Sometimes this happens to me when I'm driving down the road and I think of a word, and as I'm thinking of that, it's like in the storyline of the things that I'm thinking about, and as I'm just like glancing up at a billboard, that word is on the billboard. Because the veil is thinning. My relationships. Yes, relationships are amazing to manifest because you go with the flow then, right? So if you're looking for a business relationship, a personal relationship, a friend relationship, you can sort of send it out, and then it makes the decision-making process easier because you just go with what comes back to you. Somebody said with healing plants too. I'm not sure if you're talking about healing the plants in your house or having plants heal you. Because if you guys have plants in your house, you'll notice a few things. So let's talk about plants in the house. The rule of thumb in terms of like cleanliness, cleaning the air, and oxygen production is a plant every 100 square feet in your house. So a plant is like bringing outside to inside. And if you have a plant every 100 square feet, it's going to be neutralizing the energies in the air around your space. And then also we have to treat our plants kindly as well. Because if you start noticing that your plants are dying, anybody out there have dying plants? You start noticing that your plants are dying, it may be overwatering, it may be underwatering, it may be a light issue, but it's likely a you issue. You're not paying attention to the plant. You're not connecting with the plant. So make sure that the plants in your space you are connecting with, they long for communication. That's what they are. They're the Earth's library that's coming up into this sort of vertical formation, and it's longing for connection, it's longing for communication. So don't just water your plant. Thank it. You can do some Ubuntu action and, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. Let it know that you're there. Pet it. Someone said snake plants are great for cleaning the air. They definitely are. And also make sure that you clean the leaves of the plants because that's their cells. That's where they breathe. I often talk with my plants. I tell them how beautiful they are. Hello, it looks like you have a beautiful tree growing out of the top of your head. Yeah, there's 2 awesome palm trees in the backyard that I frequently communicate with. Okay, so thank you for sharing. Yes, I connect with the plants and I love them. They allow to connect, and yes, it's a relationship. Yes, longing for communication. Exactly. It's like if you think back when we had zoos, I'm sure a lot of us went to zoos unconsciously and saw the animals in the cages walking in circles, and at a certain point in your life, you kind of just didn't have any awareness of how that's probably not the best thing for that animal. And nowadays, when you go to something that resembles a zoo, you may have acknowledgement of the suffering that animal is probably facing due to the human captives that ripped it out of the wild and brought it into a cage for our viewing pleasure. The same thing's happening for a plant. We may be unconscious of the plants in our house and just treating them sort of like we unconsciously may have been aware of the animals, or we may have not been aware of the animal suffering. We might not be aware of our plant suffering. So if the plant is dying, it's suffering, and it might just need your attention. And then you can basically use the plant as a training exercise. So back to manifestation. What was the last thing you guys manifested in your life? Because we're not just manifesting the great stuff, right? We're manifesting the hard stuff as lessons, as ways to build our capacities. And if we can see life through that, and including physical challenges, right? Like, why do we have issues in our body? Do they arise from a mechanistic point of view, like Western science says that it does? Westernized science, and I'm saying like westernized, like it's being manipulated, because it is being manipulated by humans that have an agenda. A lot of them have an agenda to keep positions in universities. A lot of them, they always have for thousands of years, definitely hundreds of years. If you go back and read autobiographies of people like even Einstein, like him or not, but he was kept out of colleges because he was opposing certain viewpoints at the time. But westernized science has a mechanistic point of view, meaning that they're always looking to prove a cause for a particular effect. And so you have an effect and you develop a hypothesis of what caused the effect, and then you run an experiment to prove whether a cause is responsible for the effect. And we always start the causes from a certain perspective, this physical realm. And the question is there a cause before the cause? Like, is there something causing the causes? And I feel philosophies of the East and ancient philosophies go there. They dig one level deeper, right? And if you guys are familiar, anybody work in corporate America or work in some sort of organization, I'm on the board of Purium. And there's something called, and I've been on boards of corporations as well, there's something called root cause analysis. And I view Western science as not going to the root cause. They go to the first level, which is asking why. They find the proof of what caused the effect. But root cause analysis, you keep on asking why, right? So why did the machine break? And you figure out that, like, oh, the machinist put the drill in the bit wrong. And so a sort of Western approach would be fire the machinist, get a different machinist, right? But if you go to the East, which I actually think root cause analysis was developed in, I don't want to just guess, but I think it was Japan or China. But they say, okay, why did the machinist put the drill bit in the machine wrong? And now you have a different cause for the cause, right? So even though your initial cause was correct, why was it put in there wrong? And you figure out, oh, because the manager that was supposed to run the training program for the machinist 2 years ago when they joined was sick on the day that we developed this, or when we taught this machinist how to do this particular thing, so they never learned how to do it properly. Okay, great. Why was the manager allowed to be late and that machinist allowed to go through the program without that thing? And they keep on asking why until they eventually get down to root cause analysis, where you can't go any further for why. And we can do that a lot in our life as well. Analyzing our desires, analyzing our dreams, our wants, which want really means lack. I don't like to use that word, but it's what we use. And we analyze our desires, our goals, our targets, and we ask why. We might know that we crave a new car. We might know that we crave a partner, a boyfriend and girlfriend, husband to wife, whatever it is. We might know that much, but do we ever ask yourself why? Why is that? Because then we might discover more about ourselves, about our desires. And so if we take something, I'll take you guys through this process where we can find the roots of our desires. So it's not a root cause analysis to find an error, but we can use that same technique to analyze our desires, because a lot of us have wants, and want in its actual meaning means to lack. Want, that's where that word comes from. It means to lack. So when I say I want a new job, what we're claiming to be is I lack a new job. I lack a new car. I lack a new purse. I lack a good meal. Every time you say I want, you are manifesting want. You are manifesting lack. So when you recognize that you are manifesting, and guys, ask me any questions about this. When you recognize that you are manifesting lack, then you realize that you're responsible for all of the lack that you experience because you've been claiming it to be. You've been speaking it into existence. Emotionally as well. Very emotional. You might have a lot of anger that you want something. It might be something you've been chasing for 20 years, and you know in your heart that you want it so bad. You know in your heart that you lack it. And you create that existence. And so, one thing I like to take people through is their root cause. So, somebody name in the chat something that you desire, and you're going to hear me flipping back and forth between desire and want. But what is a want that somebody has? What is a intentional manifestation that you would like? Just throw it in the chat and I'll pick it. I'll analyze. Dream job, vacation. I desire calmness and peace. All right, so let's go with dream job. So it's evolved me says desire, perception change. Like that's getting a couple levels down. So let's go with dream job. So why the dream job? Why do you crave a dream job? Mailbox Fit, I'm talking to you. I don't know if that's your actual name. I just made that 3 into an E. Move to an island and have a wellness business. I like that one. If I'm not going to get an answer from... All right. Unpin that comment. And let's go with move to an island and have a wellness business. So... why is that a craving? Move to an island and have a wellness business. Why? What is stimulating that? And you guys, I'll go if I don't get my own answers. I'll make up answers for this just to give you guys an example of how to do this. Move to an island and have a wellness business. So when you ask yourself why, there's 2 main things pop up for me. The first one is money. The second one, well, actually 3 things. Helping people. And then move to an island means that there's a certain lifestyle, right? So let's go with move to an island and have a wellness business. move to an island and have a wellness business. So let's go with the why on that is because then I'll be able to help people, right? So if you take your desires or your wants, I should say wants, you take your wants and you determine what they are, have a wellness business, and then you ask why, what's underneath that? Because I want to help people. Okay, great. You can stop there, but why do you want to help people? Because then you start digging into really what's motivating you. Why do you want to help people? And an answer that comes up even just 2 levels down, right? I want a wellness business. Why? So I can help people. Why? Why do you want to help people? That can reveal a whole bunch of things. My dad didn't love me, so I want to love other people, so that I don't have to help myself. It makes me feel better to help other people so that I don't have to actually look internally, because I don't have children and this will make me feel like a mother. It's going to fill my soul. And you can see as you keep on asking why, there's things that reveal itself. To create a healing program specifically for indigenous communities. Then there's that. Why? Now you come up with like a whole bunch of things. But as you keep on asking why, you get to discover parts about you. And the cool thing about this exercise is when you get down, you usually get down to a level where you can start doing the thing that satisfies the actual root, the root of the desire. If you feel like the thing that you crave is up here, opening a wellness center, but down here is I want to feel fulfilled as a mother figure, right? You can actually discover that you can do that right now without a wellness center. And the cool thing with this is that, thank you for Live Whole for Life. She's answering my questions. I've experienced the struggles and I want to share what I learned on my journey, emotionally, physical healing, mind-body connection. We all deserve to live healthy and happy. If you keep on asking why, I'm going to just keep on going on my tangent. You get to a moment where you realize that you might be able to satisfy that deep root now within your current reality without having the thing that you think is going to get it. And you might adopt a plant or 10 plants and care and get that same sense of you're the nourisher, you're the provider, you're the protector. And guess what? When you start doing that, now you're in alignment with the original vision. And now it's no longer lacking. You don't feel a sense of lack because you're in alignment with the real root cause of the original vision. And you guys know that the most powerful state of being that we can be in is in a state of alignment, a state of authenticity, a state where our thoughts, our emotions, our actions are in alignment. And so now you're at the root, you're in alignment with yourself, which is then going to make you way more powerful to go through the activity, the thoughts, the mental challenges, the emotional hills that it would take to get to the end of where you're going. Because just focusing up here doesn't get us in alignment. Focusing what we don't have puts us out of alignment. Focusing on what we want, what we lack, puts us out of alignment. You're essentially agreeing that this reality that is around me is not of my creation. It is not what I am in alignment to. I lack something. I wish I had that. And you're essentially forfeiting your ability to be there. So you must be there internally. Figure out why the thing, why the dream job, why the dream car, why do you want that? and then get rid of that lack. And then you'll have a different understanding of that. It's not a want. It's not a sensation of lack. It's a desire. And so when we can realign our self to what these things that pop up in our consciousness, maybe we see a car and we just imagine how blissful life would be like that, because we would feel like the car matches our soul, and we can show up and be proud of the car that we own, and we get out of it and we walk away from it and we feel like more of ourselves. When we come out of every place, we see it. When we take our friends into the vehicle of our choice, it feels like it's in alignment with you. So when that car rolls by and you see that, and then you immediately go into, oh, but I don't have that, and I want it, I lack it, that's not gonna, like, things would be much better, you disrupt that. So the opportunity here, the invitation, is that when you sense something, see something, hear something, and you feel that gravitation, that pull, what that is it's a premonition. It's a desire. Desire means de sedire. De from sedire, the stars. So a desire is different than a want. So when you guys are walking through reality and you go through this process, right? Where you go through this process and you're like, whoa, I feel gravitationally pulled to that. And we don't all get pulled to the same thing. Some of us, that car is cool, right? Some of us like to go sit under waterfalls. Some of us are looking at more time in their life, more freedom. Some of us are looking for partners. Some of us are looking for business relationships. Can I get into the rooms and network with the types of people that would position me in the status that I'm also desiring? And so instead of going into want and lack, we go into, this is a premonition. This is a desire. This is a sensation from another reality, from the stars. This is out of infinite realities that are all existing now. I am now being tugged in this direction. And this gives us an opportunity to trust and have faith that it exists, where you and the thing are one. You are in union. You are within that reality. Now, it's just a question of connecting where you are physically into that reality. And you can start doing it by finding that, taking the car example, you don't love your car when you get a new car. You don't win the race when you cross the finish line. That's a better example. That's not when you win the race. That's not what makes you a winner. Crossing the finish line does not make you a winner, just like having the thing does not make you a winner. Achieving a promotion and arriving at your dream job is not what allowed you to do that. It's all of the steps beforehand. And so when you feel that sensation, that premonition, and you feel those emotions, now it's up to you to translate those emotions into your current reality. Look at your car that you have right now. Look at your job that you have right now and find the same sort of satisfaction that you felt in that other reality. What are the activities that you're doing as your dream job? If you own the wellness center, what would you be doing every single day? Would you be scrolling Instagram, or would you be looking at reports and looking at methods and what's coming down the pipeline on the healing modalities? Would you be going to conferences? All of that is what positions you into that reality. It's what makes you more in alignment. And somebody said, what about wishing? Is it the same as want? Yeah, so as I said, when you recognize that it doesn't, like when you're wishing, well, I mean, you wish upon a star, right? So it really just comes down to faith and trust. Faith and trust, which is all over the world. You see this in all cultures. You must have faith in God, yourself. And I find that this is a skill, and I also find that this is one of the reasons why we're here. This is the skill, the reason why we're in this, call it a video game, even the Christian scenario, right? We come down and this is all a test to see if we can go into heaven and be one with God. What is, like, have you dissected that? That's what we're doing. We're here to learn how to be a creator, so that instantaneously we're able to create. And we're learning that we're doing that here. It's kind of like we're all here training wheels, though. And a lot of our powers are suppressed. Why? Well, I mean, what's your favorite pastime? Competition, right? What's everyone doing on Sunday? They're watching men brutally compete to see who's better than the other team. We've got pride in politics. We've got wars. These are our favorite pastimes. This is what we do. This is what we feel life is about. Once we work that out as a species, then things like secret societies don't have to protect the sacred knowledge of creation. Or if you go back and you look at the gurus, they would make their initiates or their followers, whatever you'd like to call them, do things in order to be granted the next technique, right? Because you wouldn't want to give a sword to somebody that doesn't have the strength to lift it up. They're going to cut off their own foot. And so that's what the purpose of life is. It's to take us through the process of recognition that we are creators and we're creating. And what I just explained, that process of recognizing a premonition of a reality where you have different things, where you are a different person, that's what intention is. And so the faith and trust gets translated into intention. So you get to choose when something comes into your reality and you get that ping, that feeling, that chord. For me, it feels like a chord coming off my heart, and we get to choose which ones do we follow. And that word, intention, you are in tension with that reality. There's infinite probabilities of reality, and we are traveling through realities. I might have to go on a tangent for that. Do I have my own page? Yeah, it's at raw_of_earth. So I'll explain the intention. I'd have to explain multiple realities first, but let's go on intention. Intention, you're in tension with the reality. And when you go to a yoga class or a meditation or something and somebody's like, let's all set an intention for this class, what you're doing is you're picking a reality to be in tension with. And a lot of us say things like, I'd like to lose weight, I want to handle this, I want a resolution with what's going on with the argument between my mom and I, whatever's popping up, those are, out of infinite realities, you're selecting which one to have tension with. And throughout the experience, you get to clear away the garbage and allow for that intention to pull you into that reality. That's what intention means. You're in tension with a alternative version of this reality. Now, what the easy thing, I don't want to give a spell, but the easy thing to do in that scenario is you set an intention, that reality is now pulling you forward to it, but you're still holding on to the reality that you're comfortable with. You're holding on to your friends, your activities, your vices, your wake up time, your go to sleep time, your what do you eat for dinner, what do you do on the weekends. You're still holding on to the reality where you came from. And as you're being pulled to a new reality, you are not willing, this is the easy thing to do, you're not willing to let go of the reality that you intended on being in a different reality, but you're still holding on to that reality most of the time because you don't understand this process. But letting go will feel similar to breaking up with somebody. You're literally breaking up with your current reality because you chose to be in tension with another one and get pulled into it. You will break up with your current reality for a new one. And the only way that's going to happen is if you let go. Manifesting, creating is mostly about letting go with what you have cemented in around you. And this breakup process is not going to be simple because you've been with yourself for how long? How long have you been with yourself since the last time you questioned, do I crave this current existence? For some of us, it's been our entire life. And we're breaking up with that person so that we can have a new. And it's not like that person's disappearing. It's more like a chapter that you can go to for reference. It's still there. You learn the lessons from that state of being, but you no longer need to be there. It's similar to like grade school. Grade school served a purpose when you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. It really served the purpose of programming you. But let's just take like the idealistic like thought of what grade school should be for us. It served us to teach us the lessons, but we no longer need to go back to be a toddler anymore. We let go of that. That's when we learned our ABCs. But we no longer need to be that version of us. We can cherish it. We can love that version of us. We can love the mistakes that we made. We can see them for what they are. That was a stepping stone to where we are now. And the more willing you are to always let go of the attachments to reality, the more fast, I should say, even though time is an interesting concept as well, is fast the right word? The more able you are to join the flow of realities with the least amount of resistance. I've found that when I've set an intention and it's shown up to me and I either didn't take it or worse yet, according to my experience, got even more greedy, and before taking a step into that reality, I said, no, I don't want that. I want something bigger and better. And I basically said no to the thing that popped up in front of me, and I tripled it. I found that punish is maybe the word here, but I'm not sure if it's a punishment. But it feels like there's a snap back. It felt like a punishment. It could have been a lesson, but it feels like a snap back even lower than where I started at. And so that's not to incite fear, but a lot of these techniques are extremely powerful. And there's reasons why you don't get taught this stuff in school. There's reasons for it. And it might be because there's an Illuminati that's an agenda, that's siphoning energy off of us. It is and probably is that, but it's also can be to our advantage. We can spin anything to our advantage if that is our intention. And for me, modern school system is similar to a secret society, the mystery teachings. You don't just sign your name on the line and they give you things. No, they have to teach you emotional control. They have to teach you how to deal with pain. They have to teach you how to separate yourself from in all the different aspects. and learn to use emotions to your advantage. All of that is being taught in mystery schools. And the modern school system it's like walking up the mountain to find the guru that's sitting in a cave for the last 13 years, but he's in a super isolated place that only few are willing to go to. Most all of us went through 12 to 20 years of the modern school system to realize, like, wow. And the mountain is re-educating ourselves. Maybe if we would have got educated properly in the beginning, we wouldn't be so motivated to find what else there is. It's sort of like, I'm sure you guys all have this experience because I see memes about it. The popular guys in high school, the ones that got all the attention, and they were the ones 5 years later, 10 years later, who don't look so good because there was lack of motivation to try to keep care of yourself. If you went through high school and you learned when you were programming, and again, this is me being completely stereotypical, but I'm giving you an example of, like, a relevant example of the cool kids in high school weren't so cool 5 years later. A lot of them still were, I'm sure, but you guys understand the point. There's a lack of motivation if you're just given stuff. So for me, I feel that the modern school system is what evokes people to ask more questions, to be like, what? This can't be it. And it's the 10-20% of the people that do that. I would say maybe 30% of the people that recognize something's not right, and then out of those 30%, how much percent, 1 to 10%, are going to actually do something about it. They're going to go rediscover, relearn, reassess, reintegrate. And they deserve to be the ones. They deserve to handle the powers associated with it. Ra, this is something I need and needed to hear. Thank you. This on time, right life. Sorry, I didn't really read that properly. My experience is to be expelled always. Find a place where you're not expelled. Homeschooling. Yes, I mean, would I personally put my kids in a school? It wouldn't be my ideal choice. It would not be my ideal choice. And this is back to manifesting. So let's take a school for kids, right? If you're recognizing this and you're like, I don't really want my kids I don't really feel that the school system is appropriate for my children. That's great. And focusing on that is going to just allow you to find more proof of why the school system isn't right for your children, which is when you go on Facebook and you see everybody saying, the government this, the Illuminati this, the chemtrails in the sky that, and we don't get much done by pointing fingers at what's wrong, okay? Because an act of destruction, an act of that shouldn't be, is very weak. It's very out of alignment with reality. To say that shouldn't be is, if I were to think of something that would be the most out of alignment with the universe, God, source, life force, it would be that. That shouldn't be. You're literally looking at it. You're looking at it happening, and you're saying that shouldn't be. No, it should be. It is being perfectly as it's happening, and you can witness it right now. It's happening perfectly as it should. So it's okay for you to recognize it's not ideal, but it's definitely perfectly happening. And so now the step, once that recognition, is to discover what else. And then we go through that process. What else would be more satisfying to me. And this is now like, if you imagine us going through a school system where we're learning to be creators, learning to create something from nothing is a few levels higher in terms of skill set, necessary skill set. It's a few levels higher than just saying and recognizing that, and just like recognizing I'd like to turn in a different direction. Actually figuring out what that different direction looks like and then creating the scenario within your imagination, your image nation, the place where the images arise, where you can imagine a new reality, where you connect to a new reality through your imagination. That is a simple process, but not so easy if you don't know what that looks like. And that's why the world is created by people that have powerful imaginations, the ones that can look at things and say, that's a chair, but could it be better? The key is to recognize your placement, harmonize with it, and always be open to a promotion. Always be willing to promote your situation. So not fighting your current situation. When you fight your current situation, you reject the possibility that you created it. And if you reject the possibility that you created your current situation, you have no possibility of creating a new situation. If you reject where you currently are, you reject the fact that you're responsible, you're the creator of it, you manifested it, you chose it. If you reject that, you have no possibility to create anything else. And that requires no action. And when you don't have to do anything, it's easy. And so that's where addiction comes into play. Because then you get addicted to being the victim and not having to do anything but be the victim. It's easy there. It's comfortable. It's happening to me. I'm not responsible for this. I didn't do it. I didn't choose that. The world's wrong. Everything's wrong. Nothing's okay. I don't feel good. You don't have to do a single thing to be in that scenario. You don't have to do a single thing. Any questions on that? And it's as simple to get out of that as being willing to let go of your attachment to be the one who is wrong, to be the victim. What if most people were just following and not creating anything and then have to relearn how to be themselves? What if most people were just following and not creating anything and then have to relearn to be themselves? I feel that this is a matrix that all of us fall into, because a lot of times we speak of being a creator or being able to exit the matrix or go from 3D to 5D. And we find that it's not a destination, that if we evolve, ascend a little bit out of our current paradigm, we're in another paradigm, we're in another matrix, we're in another reality. And there's no way that we could possibly imagine or create or manifest to the finish line. There is no finish line. There is just no finish line. And so even if right now you're currently living your dream, I literally remember dreaming of living in California, in houses where you can, you're up in the hills and you can see the ocean. This is like, I've had many houses like this. I've been living this dream. So if you guys are in scenarios where you're like living in the area that you desired, you're driving cars that you desired, you have a relationship that you desired, you're helping your parents like you desired, you're have residual income like you desired, you're growing a family that's duplicating like you desired, there's still the point where you can discover, is this really okay where I'm at right now, or is there something else? And there's always something else, and it doesn't mean you're climbing in a vertical line, all right? A lot of us, the things that we focus on, we can achieve, but when we do that, we forget other things. We forget, I just mentioned a few things, right? I was mentioning money, physical, material things like cars, parents, children. Maybe we never developed our ability to handle anger, or maybe we never developed a musical harmony with instruments or our voice, or maybe there's always an ability to expand ourselves. And when we expand ourselves, when we push into our boundaries, we completely realign how we do everything. So let's say you've never played a musical instrument, but you're a professional soccer player, CEO of a company, and have a great family. Once you learn music, that will completely, what you're already at your top of your game with, you spent your entire life developing these channels, learning a new channel like music, that you went from no music to like intermediate level, like slightly above beginner. That's going to immediately recolor in a spectrum that you didn't even know was missing from everything else. And I'm just using music as an example. It can be anything. It can be anything, like literally anything. You just go outside more. It's going to recolor in everything in your life that you thought you were already as good as you can be. And so it's not like a linear climbing up a ladder thing. It's more of an expansion, which is why the name of my new podcast is called the Self-Expansion Podcast. I'll be releasing my first episode tomorrow. Raw of Earth Instagram. And it's going to be the episode what I was talking about last week on here, which was talking to interdimensional being, Hathor. What about when a person gets stuck trying to make sense of letdown that the person is looping on, feeling, and not moving forward? What about when a person gets stuck trying to make sense of letdown that the person is looping on, feeling, and not moving forward? I cannot make sense of this. I cannot make sense of what this means. But it's a good question. I think it's sense of letdown, trying to make sense of letdown, make sense of you being let down or you letting down somebody else. Either way, Gary's really good at saying things. I like journaling. Gary, it's faster, it's quicker when you just say things. So if you're feeling let down or you felt let down for somebody else, it's good to apologize. So Ubuntu is thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. So those 4 statements, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Saying those in almost any scenario helps raise the vibration. So when you're thinking about the letdown, say those 4 words. Another thing is you can say that, like you being the one that thanks others. So a lot of people talk about gratefulness, but you taking that standpoint, you taking the standpoint of allowing somebody to hear you say, please forgive me, rather than being the one that says, F off, take me as I am, I'm who I am, but please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry sorry is a little tricky, right? Because in this whole thing of like, that shouldn't be. Sorrow, anyways, this is a philosophy. Ho'oponopono. I keep on saying Ubuntu. It's Ho'oponopono. Ubuntu is something else in it. But it's Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian thing. They kind of sound similar, but taking that stance within your reality makes you that figure. And that also allows you to be in more alignment with your reality. You can say this to your dog. You can say this to your bedroom. You can say this to your place of work. You can say this to the plants. You can say this to people. And you're immediately going to have a different frequency relationship to matter. And this is what manifestation, this is what surfing through realities, these are the skill sets of it. This is like balancing on the surfboard during certain types of waves. You learn all of these skills. You learn to, instead of relating to your work as like, I'm just saying work because like 85% of people hate their jobs. And if in tomorrow 85% of people, instead of going into their jobs and recognizing the hate that they have for their job, go in and ask the job to forgive me, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. If that's the relationship they have with it, they're going to do a better job. The companies are going to do better. They're going to be happier. Their co-working relationships will be happier. Their bosses will be happier. They'll go home from a happy day at work. They'll be aligned. They'll be satisfied. They'll drive better. They'll interact with the person at the grocery store in a different way. With that same vibration, they'll go home to their families with that vibration. It's not about changing the external. It's not about finding a new job. It's about finding your most greatest version of self within your current reality. Now, that same person I mentioned that had all that positive impact at work, on the way home, in the grocery store, when he got back to his family, that's going to be a more stable, powerful position for him to what? Create an environment that even more satisfies him than his current position. It's also going to allow him to recognize, you guys have heard game recognizes game. Well, if you're in a pitiful, sorry, victim mentality, you're not going to recognize the next step. That's probably been hitting you in the head for the last 10 years because you're in the I hate my life mentality. So once you're in that uplifted, positive, open for challenges, smiling, exuding life force, loving the 10 hours of free time a week, even though you could, you make the most of it, that's the type of person that somebody else who might have an opportunity, or you as that more aligned person, is going to recognize an opportunity in the environment and is going to be ready for it. It's all an inside game. And so I'll leave you all with that. Life is an inside game. Reality is an inside game. We're all here together, supposedly, but there's not even proof of that. There's not proof that anybody else exists, including me, right now. But what exists is you're transmitting this information that's coming off the screen. You're hearing it, you're seeing it, you're bringing it internally, and you're registering it, and it's creating an experience. Do you integrate this experience into a creator mindset, something that's going to add to your own experience, or are you taking the experiences within your life and you're negating them, you're arguing with them, you're fighting them, you're recognizing the ugliness of them? We can recognize the ugliness or the beauty in all of life. And please, when you look in the mirror, I just saw the tree behind me. That tree is not worried about it looking ugly. It's not worried about the leaves falling off. It's being. And so just be. You can recognize the beauty within yourself just as much as you can recognize the wrinkles. Bye bye, everybody.